Hello everybody, welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
And I'm Joey Evans.
Today we're taking a look at, these are the first two expansions for a game that we both really enjoy called Deep Rock Galactic.
Yes. I love this game. And again, I don't think you have either. This is from two people who are not enamored or have never played the video game.
Yeah, I have, because of the board game, played around on the video game just a little bit, just solo. I haven't jumped into a multiplayer game of it, which is the way to play the video game, is what everyone says.
Right.
And it has a super cool community, which I dig all of that. Dig, get it? But we played the base game of Deep Rock Galactic, the board game, a lot.
Right.
And so I was excited to see what these two expansions add. The Space Rig expansion has a bit of a campaign to it, and the Biomes primarily is going to give you 4 different types of terrain. So let's take a look first at the Space Rig, and then we'll give you our thoughts.
Let's do it.
Here's the Deep Rock Galactic Space Rig expansion. There are going to be 2 new modes of play that I'll explain here shortly, and there's also going to be a campaign board that you will keep progress of over 4 game sessions of campaign play. Now, I will say, though, you can also use this as for one-offs, so if you want to use some of the upgrades, but then you also place out some of the hazards, then you can simulate as if you're in the 3rd game of a campaign, just to make more variety to your one-off gameplays. So let's talk about what's on this Space Rig. There's a few sections to the board. Over here are stickers that you can use completely optionally. These are just achievements if you complete really difficult things. And in fact, it seems to come with multiple sticker sheets, so you can peel them off and just try them again if you want to. That part is not useful. However, if you are playing missions on a campaign, the first game of the 4-mission campaign, you're going to get a beer card. As in future games, if you unlock beer cards, what will happen is you get to flip over 2 of these at the start of a mission and choose which one of these benefits you want to have. Giving you some sort of extra throwables, or giving you other powers like being able to, as soon as you carve out a wall, being able to move into that space. Now, you're also going to have to choose one of these negative tokens. So in this case, at the start of the game, 1 yellow negative. So at the start of this session, you're going to have 2 extra grunts at every exit. Or maybe instead of that one, you'll have this one that says that the stalactites cost 2 pickaxes to destroy instead of 1. As you play future missions, you'll have to introduce harder negatives in as well. So for example, something like this, which says that all grunts are going to attack with 2 dice instead of 1 dice. And you can see how this gets more difficult over the course of play. Over here, these cards are going to be different things that you're chasing to do each play session, and you'll change this out from amongst this deck of cards. So it's going to encourage you to dig more, kill more monsters using pickaxes, to explore everything very quickly, because as you do these accomplishments, you'll move this cube, this tracker, forward, giving you immediate benefits like getting more of these upgrades, or rock and stone cards, unlocking beer cards for next session. And if you can move this far enough, you can get tons of great benefits. So that's one of the things that will level you up over the course of the campaign play. You can choose any scenarios that you want to play for your 4 campaign scenarios, or you can use this randomized deck of cards, which will have missions from the original game as well as from this expansion, and there are, in the other expansion, cards for these missions as well. So you can randomize any 4 missions that you want. Another thing worth pointing out is that each dwarf is going to get an overlay that goes into their player board, and there's already dual layering that fits it, and then you're going to be able to store up to 3 different types of upgrades if you want on here. So your visor might give you additional weapons to work with. Your armor might be able to protect you from being stunned, and then your pickaxe might be a lightweight pickaxe that allows you to move extra steps, and over the course of the campaign you'll get more of these things that will make loot bugs better, or give you more benefit from stalactites, allow you to use throwables better, or defend yourself from different types of attacks. All of these negative tokens will introduce some simple rule about adding more monsters, or the monsters are able to deal more damage or roll more dice. However, one of them, the O2, the low oxygen mission, is going to introduce a new game mechanism where this might come up, where you have to spend an oxygen resource to take your 3rd action on your turn. If you are out of oxygen and you choose to take your 3rd action, then you take a damage to yourself, but you can refill this every time you go back to the resupply pod. There are special small discovery zones with their own special discovery resource tokens, so as you unlock these from the map, you'll summon monsters like normal, and then you'll place a discovery token on it, which some of these can be mission specific, or some of them can just give you, like the golden loot bug, extra resources. There's two new mission types. The drill dozer, an automatic moving piece that at the end of every player turn will move one step towards the Omeron stone over here. And once it's there, players can spend a turn to activate it. It only has 5 health though, so players have to keep it alive and spend actions repairing it. Once the drill dozer is activated, this replaces the normal event deck, and at the end of every turn, you'll flip over one of these Omeron events, which will ramp up the difficulty, activating the special monster tokens that will come out. And once this is done, once you've gone through the whole stack of 7 cards here, you will open up the Omeron, take this stone, and then your mission is to get back to the drop pod and get out of there. The other new mission type is liquid morkite refining, where as you discover tiles, you're going to place out these rigs out on there. And part of your mission to succeed is you'll have to spend actions building out these pipes and connecting to all 3 of the rigs and activating this supply here in the middle. But you notice that some of these can get damaged by the monsters over the course of play, so you'll have to spend time repairing them, making sure there's no leaks, and activating this once all of them are connected and all the pipes don't have holes in them. So there you go. That's what comes inside the Space Rig expansion.
All right, I think that the encapsulation probably is Space Rig has the campaign board,
Yep.
and then it has 2 new mission types. And there's a few other little things to it, right? But that's primarily what's going to be in this one. Where do you want to start?
The space rig, what they call that little mission board, how you move across. I really, excuse me, I really like that because it gives you reasons to not really deviate, but do the side quest too. Because as you go up that and you get those upgrades, that's pretty exciting. You know, when you hit those and you're like, all right, I'm getting some. It kind of, the game seems to know what you like about this. You like leveling up. You like getting those weapons. You like getting beat and then grabbing something new and being like, all right, I just got this upgrade. Let's do this again.
Yeah.
So you get that periodically throughout the game. I love that.
And I think that it is a nice structure for a campaign, 4 missions in a row. There is not exactly a ton of connective tissue. It's not like it's not the type of campaign where it has a whole new storybook and story entries and stuff. It's pretty simple run, but you do get those level ups, which are the parts of campaigns I tend to care more about. You know,
Yes.
because I want to feel different on game 3 than I felt at game 1.
And typically those happen in campaign games in between. You know, you get to go to a town, you get to here you get to level up during the mission, which feels really good.
Yeah, when you hit some of those things, like some of them are for the next mission, some of them are for immediate, like the draw a new beer card. And those are fun. They're situational, and I think that that's maybe a thing to be aware of with some of these upgrades and those beer cards and the mission objectives, those 2 little side quests.
Yeah.
They're situational. Sometimes you're not going to be able to do them a ton with that particular mission, and that comes from this also being so accommodating that it says, hey, all of those different missions that are already there, here's like a deck of cards, and you can make, campaign out of any 4 missions, which I like. And also if you say, like, hey, you just like this one type of mission, we're not going to make you do the ones that you don't like.
I like that. Like, who knew I love escort missions this much? I don't know why. It's like I get the drill dozer one. I love that type of stuff.
Let's talk about, okay, so that's the other, I think, main thing that comes in here are the 2 new mission types, right? So the escort mission and then the liquid morkite one. So, so you like accompanying the drill dozer as it goes along.
I didn't think I would, but then it's just, it keeps you on, you can't just run. You've got to follow this, you've got to protect it, and you get nervous, you're like, and then you incorporate everything as the environment going in. I do enjoy that. And, first of all, the minis are just incredible.
That Omeron stone, like just that moment where you like, bloop, pop it open, there's a little marble inside. Everyone who walks by the table goes, okay, that's kind of cool.
I know. We were playing at game day, and somebody walks and goes, nice.
Yeah.
It's like, when you open it and you see that, it's so good.
It's funny, is in video games, I tend to, not that I dislike, but I tend to go, oh, it's like an accompanying an escorting mission, right? Where you,
Yep.
It doesn't help that in most video games, the person you're walking with walks faster than your walk, but slower than your run.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's how it feels here, too.
Right. You're like, it's still going. We got to get over there. Oh, but we got to take care of this stuff behind us. And it turned out to be a lot of fun, I thought.
It does. You're like, I'm not ready for this yet. And it's like, well, you got to get ready because it's happening whether you're ready or not.
Now, the other mission type is the liquid morkite, where you have those 3 like looks like the pumps.
Oil, the pumps, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so you have a platform in the middle, and you have to do kind of a Euro game of like build pipes out and everything. But the fun part is that the pipes can be attacked as well and damaged. So as you're trying to spend actions building them out and fighting off all the grunts and the big stuff, you're also going back repairing the pipes. And once it's all connected, you hit it, and it just feels so good to be like, yes, the Morkite's flowing. Now let's leave.
Yes, I love that feeling.
Yeah, and that's something this game has always done well. Complete the mission. Now get out of Dodge.
Right, right.
So one last thing I think is a great note, especially for players like me. I appreciate that all of the campaign stuff in here, the upgrades, the tokens that make the enemy stronger and whatnot, you can play all that without playing it as a campaign. You can just jump into, say, let's simulate a third game of the campaign. Everyone take a few upgrades, but here are the negatives that make the monster stronger.
I agree, because there's always that sadness when you see something really cool further in a campaign. You're like, I don't have the 20 hours to get there. Now it's like, just jump in. It's kind of like in video games, I used to like when I find a save code and I can jump in on someone's level and I'm like, yeah, let's see what's going on here. So you know what? Honestly, they know video games. They know what people like, and I think that's why they stick it in here.
Yeah. The stickers, silly. I'm not probably going to ever meet any of those accomplishments and stuff. But all that being said, there is one thing before we move on to like score and final thoughts and stuff that needs to be said for both of these expansions. Right. And unfortunately, that is price.
Yes.
These are pricey expansions.
They really are.
I think retail, they're about $100
a piece.
That's fair. Not both.
Yeah. People make that, they're like $100 for both. Whew, it's pretty high. No. That's a piece.
Yeah.
And now that's retail from the manufacturer.
Yes, and you can shop around and everything, look for sales, look for used, whatever it may be, right? But we don't often bring that up in reviews, but there's moments where it's kind of important to. As much as I like the stuff in here, my biggest negative of it maybe being that some of those upgrades, some of the beer cards are a little bit situational.
Right.
I have no complaints about the gameplay and what it adds. But I do have that little question about the value proposition of at this cost.
I agree. Especially you can find them for cheaper, but I'd recommend doing that.
Right.
Yeah.
So knowing that that's going to affect a little bit of our feelings on it, what would you, like score-wise, how would you come down on this expansion, the Space Rig?
If the price was a normal price, if you can get this for a deal, I would be higher, but I'm still coming in 8.5 on this.
Really?
Because I really like what this adds to the game. If you can find a deal, again, full price, it's hard to justify that because that's a lot, man. It's just, but if you can get a deal, whether it's secondhand, whether it's whatever, I like what this adds. We didn't mention like the pickaxe upgrades, all the upgrades for your different weapons and things like that.
For your visors, for your armor, yeah.
Yes, and again, situational, like you said. But when that situation arises, like when you overclock and you immediately reload, you feel so good. So I love a lot of what that gives you. Now, again, you try to, like you said, you try not to put price into it, but you kind of have to. And the original game, I think I gave it 9 or something too. So these would be higher if it was a bit more affordable. But these are great if you can afford it, if you can find a good deal on them.
For me, I'm coming on this one at a 7.5, right?
Wow.
A little bit lower. It's still very solid, like I said, but it's that question of, even without the price, this is an expansion. I like all the things that it adds, but I don't find it to be like, essential per se. And I could see myself having plenty of fun without it, of course. And what it adds a little bit of fiddliness and a little bit more setup, but it does add a solid amount of fun. So with everything considered, 7.5 for the Space Rig. So now we're going to talk about the Biome expansion here, which has the 4 different terrains and stuff. Let me show you what comes inside of this box, and then we'll also review it.
Here's what comes inside of the Biomes expansion for Deep Rock Galactic, and in addition of what you see there, to all of the miniatures, of course, representing things from terrain effects and the 4 new terrains with like geysers and plants and stuff, to new monsters types, to the new big boss, the Dreadnought himself. The Dreadnought, who is so big it comes with his own health tracker and his own event deck that will replace the regular event deck once he hatches from his egg. So he's a new boss fight there. Focusing on some of the new minis here, there are ice shard and fire exploding plants that you'll use in different terrains, and geysers in the lava, which will occasionally, upon event cards, spew out and damage everything around it. Some of the new monsters, there's these hatchlings here that swarm, but will become weakened as you take out some of their health. This is the breeder that spawns out new swarms. The Kronar shellback here has a large ranged, a long range attack. The rammer here is going to try to, as its name implies, run and cause a lot of damage if it moves and rams at you. And the stingtail will do a lot of confusion. And then there's a new mission type here, wherein there are broken legs of one of these small mules that carry your gems that are sent down. So these search tokens find the broken bodies of the mules, and then you have to repair and reattach the legs to get the mission done. You'll notice that these are mission cards, as from the first expansion for the Space Rig one, so you can randomize these missions into your campaign, if you so desire. There is more of the same type of stuff that you're already familiar with. Rock and stone cards, throwables, new swarm cards that will bring out the new monster types, new primary and secondary weapons, and of course cards that represent all the different types of monsters. But let's take a look at the terrain. So depending on what mission you're playing, you might be playing in an icy terrain where there are going to be pockets of warmth that will protect you from hypothermia, but if you move on these sheets of ice, you will slide across until you can no longer move. On the back is going to be the magma, which will obviously harm you, as well as geysers, which will shoot out magma and stuff. This is going to be the Twilight Weld region here, where there might be kind of magic portals that will pop up onto the map, as well as on the back is going to be the ooey goos kind of terrain here with poison effects and more cocoons and stuff that might pop up. There are tokens that represent those different terrains and different missions in there. But there you go. That is a look inside of the Biomes expansion.
So you can see with this one, you're going to have it more miniatures. It's definitely more miniatures heavy of the two expansions. And it has more of like the terrain tiles and everything. So I think the biggest thing it adds is going to be the 4 different types of terrain, new monsters. But then it also does have one new mission type, which is the one where you have to fix the legs of the mules that carry around the gemstones you rescue. So, I don't know, opening thoughts on this one?
It's more stuff. It's more minis. I like that. This is the one with the cocoons that you can shoot before they hatch the spitters.
Yeah.
You know, that's very thematic stuff. I think it has the goo as well, the lava, all that. It's just, it gives you more theme to it and more like environment stuff. So more, not a lot of game changing, but more stuff.
Right. I think the one new mission type feels more familiar to missions that you've already have from the base game than the ones that come in the Space Rig, right? It's less like completely changed, but it is different. And I appreciate having at least one new mission type. But I just love having different environmental terrains in games like this.
Yeah.
And I love that one of the things that this leans into is how simple it is to upkeep everything. There's nothing that's too wild.
Right.
You know, this thing, what is that? It's an exploding plant. What does it do? It explodes. Got it.
And that one plant adds a lot. You're like, all right, let's not hit that. Then everything's around it. You're like, it's time. It feels good, right? And then it can cause a chain reaction to make another one, boom, boom, boom. And you're just waiting. You're like, a little closer, a little closer.
Hold. Hold.
It's so good. Or if someone's going to do an area effect thing, you're like, no. If you're right there next to it. I really enjoy that part of it.
There's a lot of like poison terrains that I dislike in board games because they tend to increase a bunch of the upkeep. This one does those same feelings like, oh crud, that's like a bad toxic plant we're going to run by. Well, you know, get busy living or get busy dying. We're going to run through them because we got to get there. You know what I mean? So it doesn't bog it down, but it still gives those unique feels to the different terrains.
I agree. Like the poison spore is the one that you put down. You're like, oh, you just have to step on him. I'll just avoid him. That's easier to say than it is to do. You're like, I really need to stand there. Well, taking the hit. I'm going to walk on it.
But it's a die roll, which I like. You know, and so you're sitting there hoping not to get that exclamation point. And you see like the bite, you know, the damage, and you're like, huh? No, I'm good. Sweet. Okay. You know, it's just, there's a lot of those moments that this adds, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Dwarf sliding on the ice. You know,
yes.
I like all that. New monster types that behave differently. And the other thing that's in this box primarily that isn't in the Space Rig is just what a lot of times we call like more of the same stuff expansions, more primary weapons, more secondary weapons, more throwables, more swarm cards, right? More monsters. And for me, I love that type of stuff in an expansion, and I love it when it also brings in like a little bit more, because I don't want just the expansions. Like, here's 3 new monsters.
Right.
I feel like there's a good amount of stuff in this one that kind of, for me, justifies the space and the price and stuff a little bit more.
It does give you that, like, when you open both expansions, the first one's more like, well, not the first one, Space Rig. It's more like mental. You're like, oh, this is going to help the game progress. This one's more like endorphin rush. You're like, oh, man, I can't wait to fight that. You know? So if you like that rush when you open it, this is going to give it to you.
Yeah. So score-wise and thoughts, though.
All right, score again. Same thing price-wise. This is going to be around this, actually the exact same price. So it's going to be higher, and that is affecting the score. This one I do enjoy because it adds more stuff to it. I don't think it's as game-changing as the initial one, but I think this is great. Again, if you can get it a deal, I'm coming to 7.5 on this, 7.5, because I do like the more stuff. I prefer probably Space Rig because I like a lot of the things it adds to it. But this again is great, and the exploding plants, that alone makes me think, man, I really need, because I will stick those in everything. You know, I really enjoy those. And the train is good too.
It's funny that I'm coming in at the opposite of you. I'm giving this one an 8.5. Really? And I would go higher, but factoring in price and all that type of stuff, right? I think that this one just, for me, tickles the value bone. I'm never going to say that sentence again. Yeah, right. And but not just that, but also just the fun factor is there. The fact that there's a dreadnought, a new boss type that comes out and has its own event deck. Now, yes, the Space Rig, the Omeran Stone, has its own event deck. So yeah, I mean, both of these expansions are well done. I just find that I'm more excited to come back to the biomes, be like, let's try poison now. Haven't done lava in a little bit, let's do that, right? And so the mission types haven't changed, but the play field has quite literally changed. And I think that the new monster types, one doesn't even attack you. It just like shoots out these little swarms of buggers. And you're like, ah!
So good.
Do we take out the swarms? Do we take out the spawning one? You know, I love those. For me, it adds more gameplay change than the Space Rig, but I think it's going to depend on what you want out of it.
Right.
So a high score of 8.5 for each of these, giving them a seal of excellence, right? But it is kind of funny that we have different opinions on which one we're kind of favoring, right?
I agree. And the thing is, I think I probably would add a point to each of them. They'd go up if that price was more affordable, because they're just great.
Yeah. And we don't tend to harp on price, right? But this is one of those times where it's notable, right?
You're going to notice.
Yeah, it was a little deflating when I saw that. That being said, if you already really enjoy and have Deep Rock Galactic, you've invested a good chunk of change already into it, right?
Right.
So,
and like, we have played this with people who play the video game, and you guys probably have more of like a mental pull for this. And it's so fun teaching those people. They're like, okay, got it. Oh, those are red. Got it. You know?
Yeah, okay, I know what that one does. I know what this one does. Does the drill do this automatically? Yes. And then you,
Yeah, it's almost deflating. We're like, I can't wait to tell you about this. Like, oh yeah, I've done this one. I'm like, got it. You know? So, but it's cool to see too. So if you like this IP, I think these are great.
Playing this board game with people who've played the video game is a little bit like in Back to the Future, where he's like, I've seen this one already.
Yes, exactly.
Like, what?
Exactly.
All right, folks. So there you go. Seals of Excellence for both of these expansions. Until next time, my name is Chris Yates.
I'm Joey Evans.
And have yourselves a rockin' stone good time. Oh, yeah.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another video from the Dice Tower. Hey, you want to learn more about us, communicate with us? We have a Facebook group, we have a Discord channel, lots of different ways to get involved with the Dice Tower. You can find that in our Linktree link below. So just click that, it will take you, and you can communicate with us on Facebook, join our Facebook groups. There's lots of cool things that you can find and become part of the Dice Tower. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vassell.
Yeah, my muscles are too large. I cannot scratch my back.
Arnold couldn't, at one point, wipe.
Really? Have you seen those people like at the gym where they stick like a sticky note on these muscle guys' back, and they just
Yeah, I have that problem all the time, folks.
But then when they catch you for doing that.
That becomes a problem. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Dice Tower. My name is Chris Yee.
And I'm Joey Evans.